Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Well, what do we have here? This article says, I was just talking about something like this. This article is titled XRP records highest single day whale accumulation since Ripple's partial victory over the SEC. Now, the question is why? There's a lot of questions, as a matter of fact. Number one, they had a lot of good news come out lately, especially them deploying that Ripple payments in the United States. The implications are huge. The possibilities, not a guarantee, the possibilities are huge. I don't think people understand what could be about to take place. If I say that, I don't know if I said that eloquently or not. But the whales, despite what everybody else is saying, the whales accumulated a ton of XRP. That's interesting. Most whales have advisors, financial advisors. There's some very brilliant people. So if my thoughts are correct, those advisors are telling the whales, hey, XRP still is something you can make some capital off of. Obviously, it has to be good capital. They have to be telling them that XRP is going to go up for those whales to take their money and accumulate so much that it made everyone's alerts go off that monitor transactions. It says here, market intelligence platform Sentiment, who we're all very, very familiar with, recently revealed how XRP whales look to be going all in on XRP. Now, that's Sentiment saying that. So it's serious. They're going all in on XRP. Why? What do they know that everyone else seemingly doesn't know? It says following significant purchases of the crypto token. Remember, they said this only happened. The only other time this happened was right after Ripple's that victory Ripple had where XRP got its outright clarity last year. So something has to be going on. There's an effect for every cause. There's a cause for every effect. Notably, these buys are said to be the most since Ripple's partial victory over the SEC. XRP records 217 whale transactions. The whales are speaking. I'm feeling very bullish right now. Well, maybe it's just me. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. It doesn't take much. And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so we can keep this news coming to you. Sentiment stated in an X, formerly Twitter, post, the XRP ledger processed 217 $1 million whale transactions on the network on January 31st. Oh, something is coming. 2024 has only begun. We're only in February, folks. And I think something big may be coming in 2024. I agree with all of those other researchers and experts that said 2024 could be big. We're still at the beginning. I would think that it's more likely things start to happen in the third or fourth quarter because of MiCA legislation. A lot of things are rolling out around that time that they claim MiCA legislation in Europe is rolling out. There's a lot of things taking place. So it says this happens to be the most transactions of such magnitude recorded in a single day since Judge Annalisa Torres ruled that XRP wasn't a security in itself last year, July. Another thing, I said this also, as everybody else is selling a lot of their XRP, which to each his own. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. That's the times where others will buy it. Like big money people will buy that up. They sit there, they sit quiet. They let the people panic. They come in and they buy it because for the long term, they see the assets doing very well, certain assets doing very well over the long term. I mean, because like I said, nothing has changed for the negative. It's only gotten better and bigger. Everything and crypto as a whole is so close to going off. Any of these big catalysts pop off, all of these legit crypto are going up, period. There's nobody could change that. It's not going, no one can change that. That's just a fact. Let's say a very simple catalyst like Bitcoin at some point this year takes off. Everything else is going to go up, but I'll leave that there. It says here, just like Sentiment noted, Such an occurrence has the potential to impact XRP's price positively. Probably why we saw the price go from what was like 50 cents to then it went 51, 52, things like that. XRP had risen to as high as, okay, so they go into a little bit of the history of what happened last year. We don't need to go into that. We have a lot of big news that occurred in the last 2 days here. Let's get into some of this because people better get ready. Times are changing. There's a lot of great things on the horizon and there's a lot of bad things on the horizon. All right. And it seems like that we are in a time period of extremes. This article here is from Cointelegraph.com. It's titled U.S. Lawmakers Challenge SEC on Crypto Asset Regulation. And I have to say, folks, this is the most activity I've seen from U.S. lawmakers when it comes to crypto that I've ever seen. And they've been very active with this little bit of 2024 that we've experienced. Something's going on. If we get crypto clarity, heck, man, I might have to take a couple days off because I'll be too excited. That video will be so energized. Because if we get crypto clarity in the United States at some point through U.S. lawmakers and the SEC has to sit down, it's time to play. And I'm ready. I'm more than ready, folks. More than ready. Nobody's more ready than I am. I promise you. U.S. Representatives Mike Flood, Wiley Nickel, as well as Senator Cynthia Loomis, how I pronounce it, submitted similar resolutions to strip the SEC's accounting bulletin of its force and effect. All right, well, let's see here. Are you positive on crypto or negative? Let's see. Members of the United States Congress are seeking to remove the staff accounting bulletin from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This bulletin limits banks wishing to hold their clients' crypto assets. Look at that. Look at that. The banks are making their power felt. It's getting interesting, folks. Requiring them to keep their investors' assets on the balance sheet. Representatives Mike Flood, Wiley Nickel, and as well as Senator Cynthia Loomis introduced a resolution under the Congressional Review Act to repeal SEC's SAB 121 on February 1st, 2023, which would formally disprove of the accounting rule and conclude that it has no legal force. It says here, SAB 121 states that crypto assets of bank customers should be held on the bank's balance sheet. I don't agree with that. I don't at all. Reflecting the value of the assets and requiring capital to be maintained against them. What? U.S. lawmakers have argued that it jeopardizes the willingness of regulated banks to act as crypto custodians. Yes, it does. This logically, yes, it does. Like, who came up with this and thought that was okay? It says, and treats crypto holdings differently than other assets. It certainly, that's just obvious. Says in November 2023, several members of Congress submitted a memo urging key financial authorities, including the chair of the board of the Federal Deposit Insurance Commission, to provide guidance or take action clarifying that the SEC's SAB 121 is not enforceable following the Government Accountability Office finding. Listen, what's important about this is exactly what I stated in the beginning. At least they're taking a look at crypto. They're doing something crypto related. This can lead to other things that they need to push, like crypto clarity. This can lead to that. This can lead to those questions. They have a bunch of bills that they were trying to pass that lead to crypto clarity. We will see where this all goes, but the banks are involved. If they don't want this going on, they definitely want clarity on crypto. 100%. It's just a matter of time, in my humble opinion, before that money behind the scenes starts being felt in a way that we get crypto clarity in the next year or two. Whenever that happens, in a year or two is not a long time, in my humble opinion, but we're all different. You may have your own thoughts on that. But crypto would explode so disgustingly. So deliciously, rather. You could say either way, right? But you get what I mean. That it would be mind blowing, and I'm ready for it. So now let's move on here to another article. And I was also talking about this recently. Everything that goes up must come down. This article is from NASDAQ.com and is titled "Rich Dad, Poor Dad," author Robert Kiyosaki. It's funny because in articles, they'll say rich dad, poor dad, author. but they rarely will just say Robert Kiyosaki. Like, everybody knows who this guy is by now. He speaks all the time. This guy does more interviews than your average Hollywood actor, you know. It says author issues dire warning about economy. Well, that's easy. All the top economists have been issuing dire warnings about the economy. United States got its credit rating downgraded. Even the regular people are all on social media talking about the U.S. economy, which is not mirroring what the data is the data is telling them. So this is easy. It says, don't be fooled. Stock and bond markets about to crash. I also think that's an easy call. They've been doing very well. S&P 500 been doing very well as far as what I know, unless I'm just completely wrong and I'm just tweaking, as the kids say. Tweaking, I'm tripping. When we were younger, they said you're tripping. Nowadays, they say you're tweaking. That's interesting, right? How the verbiage changes, but whatever. But if it's been doing very well, it's just a matter of time before it comes down. If we're in a bubble, then that bubble has to pop at some point, right? Correct? It says, on Saturday, Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki voiced a grim forecast for the stock and bond markets. In a statement on X, formerly Twitter, Kiyosaki cautioned investors about an imminent market downturn despite the current uptrends in major indexes. Despite the recent positive performance of indices like the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the NASDAQ Composite, Kiyosaki remains unconvinced about the underlying strength of the U.S. economy. I am as well. A lot of other people are as well. Where's the strength of which they speak? And no, numbers can tell the story of who controls the numbers. So that whole numbers don't lie thing, I don't know why anybody would believe that. It's all about who controls the numbers, who controls the narrative. They can make the numbers say whatever they want, and who can verify it beyond them. The stock market is climbing higher and higher. I told you, everything that goes up comes down. If it's been doing as well as people have been saying it's been doing, it has to come down sooner or later. Suckers, wow, powerful words. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have read that. Redacted actually believe the economy is strong. Don't be fooled. The Magnificent Seven, financed by U.S. government dollars, keeps the stock market up. Oh, he's telling. Oh, please be careful. Stock and bond markets about to crash. Oh, he's not holding back. That's interesting. Let's read what else they said here. He hinted that the market's buoyancy to the support of the, quote, Magnificent Seven companies, unquote, which he believes are artificially bolstered by government funding. Ooh, he has some good advisors. He has to. A lot of us know this, but it's rarely spoken about, you know. Kiyosaki's warning came in the wake of high corporate earnings and a January jobs report that surpassed expectations. He cautioned that this perceived economic prosperity is deceptive. I agree with that. Suggesting that the stock market's performance is not a true indicator of economic health. I also agree with that. Yes, but I'll say this once again. I'll say this. Many brilliant minds over the last year have been saying that this is coming. It's just a matter of time. Some market observers have expressed skepticism about Kiyosaki's predictions. Well, they probably have a vested interest to disagree. A lot of people disagree because it's not advantageous to them money-wise. Like, they make money from other. Listen, a lot of individuals control other people, for lack of a better word. Like, they have clients, they have, people that they influence, and they need them to stay in to a lot of things for exit liquidity. They will keep them there. It's a harsh thing to hear. It's a harsh, but it's a harsh reality. It's a reality. They will keep them there. So they have to say, no, it's not going down. So those people keep their money in. It's the same way in crypto. It's the same thing. People sometimes have to tell you like, oh, this is the best thing here. Meanwhile, they're selling and getting out of certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because they want that exit liquidity there, or there's some kind of benefit. So I just keep that in mind. That doesn't mean that's what's happening here. But I just keep that in mind when I'm reading these types of things, right? It says, noting his history of forecasting market crashes in the past few years that have not materialized. All right, you got some things you get right, some things you get wrong. But here, once again, a lot of people that are, and I mean no disrespect, but they are real economists. They are real financial experts. They've gone to school for it. They have decades and decades of research put in, have called for something like this at some point in the near future. So it's not, even if you don't want to listen to him, I mean, there probably is a little bit of truth. Even if it doesn't happen, it's like it's a high probability that it could happen. That's all the people are trying to say, right? So it says, somebody said, if you call a crash 1,000 times, eventually it will happen. That's one thing I will say. Some people, they are funny. They will go against you and they will say some harsh things, but they are funny in this day and age. But to each his own. You know, people stay in, they stay in. They leave the market in time. It is what it is. That's how I feel. All right. So now let's move on here. So this is obviously in direct relation to the banks. People better watch those banks. They better watch those banks. I had an article here. Oh, it's at the end. It's in the last chapter. The banks are in trouble, folks, big time. It blows my mind. I always thought that at some point I might run out of news about the fall of the banks. It never happens. The veil is getting lifted. We're discovering these banks are predatory. They're almost like robbers at certain points. Don't worry, I'm going to show you. It is horrifying, in my humble opinion, some of the things they're involved in. Like I said, let's get through this article and I'm going to show you that last one there. Very eye-opening, okay? This one here is in relation to commercial real estate, though, taking down the banks. It says, dark days are coming for U.S. commercial real estate and the banks holding the loans. You see this? This is from forexlive.com. They only write about stuff when it's getting serious. I'm telling you. Goldman Sachs estimates $1.2 trillion in mortgages is due this year and next. Others say even more. Much of it is underwater. It's going down, folks. They better figure out something fast, or 2024 is going to be ugly and delicious, ugly and beautiful at the same time. Those banks go down, my gold skyrockets, my silver skyrockets, probably maybe a little bit goes to platinum. The bank coin companies will have an opportunity to slide in and say, hey, everybody, there's alternate systems. You don't like the banks, we have these wallets. Exchanges have a chance to slide in and say, hey, everybody, if you don't want to use the banks, you can use an account with Coinbase or Kraken or Binance, whoever. You can use an account with us, sort of like it's a bank account. You have direct deposit. If they don't take that opportunity when these banks go down, they are foolish. They are foolish. It will be the biggest opportunity. And if they do that, or if they could also take it the other way and help the banks. They could do that as well. Either way, it will be the biggest opportunity to bring a chunk of money to crypto. And that's going to go, look, legit money is going to go mostly to legit projects. That's just how it is, period. It says here, the banking worries in the U.S. this week were triggered by, one, New York Community Bank, Bancorp cutting its dividend on higher capital rules and commercial strain. Uh-oh. Red alert. How many people made it to this chapter? Red alert. Here, it says a Japanese bank reporting unexpected losses on U.S. commercial real estate. You know what? It's very interesting. I always thought this. A lot of foreign investors in the United States, they're going to regret it in the next few years. They're going to be regretting it depending on what they're invested in, because a lot of these things are having problems right now. So that's a Japanese bank. And Japan has enough financial problems right now. They're going through a rough patch of it. Not that anybody else is doing much better. All of these countries are going through a rough patch, but Japan is definitely having its struggles. They don't need another one. So now, the last one here, Deutsche Bank highlighting losses on U.S. commercial real estate. This commercial real estate is the dagger in the ribs of the legacy system. A dagger they don't need, but it's beautiful to everybody who's going to make money off their fall. When their fall comes, it's going to be insane. It says, despite all the economic data this week, it was those headlines that left U.S. 10-year yields 14. Look at that. 14 basis points lower on the week. Ooh. There are echoes of subprime here, as no one really knows the size of the problem. Who is holding the losses? We know a little bit, just a little, and how it could be managed. There's no saving it. What's clear is that the office real estate is severely impaired because of work from home changes. Right. If you would have treated your employees better, that's one of their main complaints. They don't want to come back to the offices, not just because of the comforts of home. But I've read article after article. I've watched video after video because I like to research people and what they think. This is what I do. I want to know the truth of what the people on the ground feel. Why are they doing? Why do they say they're doing this? Not what some company wants to say why they're doing it. Why do they say it? Why are they doing it? And what I've heard after maybe hundreds of articles and videos about these people who don't want to go back to the office. They didn't like the atmosphere in the offices. It was stale. It was horrible. That people are treating them very badly, and more than just their coworkers, because there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of mistreatment from the managers and supervisors. This constant unnecessary pressure, overworking them, underpaying them. There's so much going on. Instead of doing raises and bonuses, they're giving them pizza parties and here's your pizza party, like silly things like that. There's why they don't want to come back to the office. A big part of that. And the companies did it to themselves. They did it to themselves. Anybody with foresight could have seen this coming. So now you have this commercial real estate problem, and the banks are about to get hit big time, right? So Goldman Sachs estimates $1.2 trillion of commercial mortgages are scheduled to mature this year and next, or about a quarter of all outstanding commercial mortgages, and the highest record level going back to 2008. That should be an eye opener for people. The biggest single holders are banks. Listen, I'm going to say this, man. If people simply customize like their Google search settings, I forgot how I did this like maybe a year or two ago, but there's some way that you can tell them your interest, right? And as you're doing that, just simply make 2 or 3 of those interests. I think they allow you like 10 or something like that. I don't know if that's still, maybe they changed it since that time, but it definitely still is in effect for me. But you make like 2 or 3 of your interests bank related or finance related, and then you'll start getting this news. That way, if anything happens, you know in an instant if there's a bank run going on, so your money doesn't get trapped. Listen, this is not financial advice. You do what you want to do, right? But I just think that a wise person would do this because you don't know which bank is going to go down. Are you checking your bank's health? I always say that every once in a while. It doesn't hurt to call your bank and check their health, and I wouldn't trust what they say outright because they may not tell you. But do your own independent research. You doing your own research is the best thing possible at all times, folks, at all times. All right. But I would have some sort of alert. I would have like my Google search because I'm constantly looking through Google at articles. I don't know if other people read articles like I do. I read more articles than I watch videos. I'm more of a reader. But anyway, or have something in your Google search, some way to know is what I'm saying. If a bank run is happening or about to occur, so your capital doesn't get locked up in those banks. They have the bail-in clause. If they get in trouble, they're keeping that money. They're stopping everything. They're stopping those ATMs. We don't need those problems. We don't need those problems. So, look, to each his own. Just my humble opinion. All right. Just my humble opinion. So now let's go here. And I actually should switch these two around because I want to get to this article now. This is the one I was telling you about. When I said it's horrifying, it's scary what's going on in the banking system, their mask is getting removed. Be careful. This article is titled $1 billion Bank Pays $65 million Fine, Faces Cease and Desist Order After Violating Bank Secrecy Act. What? Deploying poor risk management. See, this is what the people aren't talking about enough. This should be spread everywhere. People should be letting each other know, in my humble opinion, hey, be careful of the banks, guys. If you're going to use them, I know you have to use them. Some people feel like they have to use the banks, but just be careful. Keep up to date with them. Check your accounts. Put on your notifications. Make sure your money is there and secure. Add security to it. People should be sharing this information with each other, right? You know how they say sharing is caring? Sometimes that's true. A Los Angeles-based lender known as the Bank to the Stars, look at that, a Bank to the Stars did all this, will pay a $65 million fine for a number of violations, including failure to follow the Bank Secrecy Act. This is insane. The Office of Comptroller of Currency says City National Bank, and it's spelled city, not S-C-I-T-I, but C-I-T-Y, right? City National Bank engaged in, quote, unsafe or unsound practices, unquote, ultimately resulting in lapses in several areas, including operational risk, compliance risk management, strategic risk management, and investment management. The OCC also finds that the lender violated the Bank Secrecy Act and failed to comply with regulatory standards that were created to ensure the health of large insured national banks. Wow, that's absolutely insane. On top of the civil penalty, the OCC also issued a cease and desist order to the City National Bank, which requires the lender to form a compliance committee. They're in trouble, big trouble. The body will be tasked to create an action plan that would address the lender's systemic deficiencies, present a, quote, reasonable and well-supported timeline, unquote, for completion, and name the people responsible for accomplishing the OCC's remedial measures. In a statement to Reuters, City National Bank says it is intent on resolving the issues identified by the OCC at the soonest possible time. We'll see. I mean, I would never do business with you again, ever. How do you exist after this? City National Bank manages over $93 billion in assets and is known for having close ties with Hollywood. Yeah, you wouldn't after this if it was me. Not at all. Not at all. So listen, if a bank like this is doing this, we know other banks have been in court as of the last 2 months as well. We covered articles on that. Be careful out there, folks. So I'm going to hold this next article here. It was about the Brics Nation. We'll cover that in the next video. I appreciate every single one of you being here. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the Monday.